England had many rulers and many dynasties in its long history. One of the most significant rulers was last of the Tudor dynasty, Queen Elizabeth I.
Elizabeth I, born in 1533 until 1603, was Queen of England and Ireland from 1558 until her death on 1603. Elizabeth was the last one of the 5 monarchs of the House of Tudor. Elizabeth was the daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, his second wife, who was executed 2.5 years after Elizabeth's birth. She was very intelligent and she got a very good education. In the Elizabethan era, there are many forms of entertainment, some rather brutal. For example, bear baiting and bull baiting, which was tying a bear to a post and allowing large dogs to attack it, was popular at the time. Bear and bull baiting had been introduced to England during the medieval period of the 2000s. Seen as a great sporting and gambling event, it was patronized by all classes of Elizabethans, including the Queen, courtiers, and foreign ambassadors. Vast amounts of money were waged on the outcome of these contests. This brutality was mostly removed from the drama of the time. Very important pieces were written during this era. For example, the plays and sonnets of William Shakespeare, something many people may be familiar with. As Elizabeth was an avid reader, she pursued this drama and literature. Queen Elizabeth's exploration of drama and literature led to the Elizabethan era being a high point for writing, and who William Shakespeare and other authors being able to write their famous works. Queen Elizabeth enjoyed reading. Not many women read or were able to read at the time. But since Elizabeth was royalty, she was taught how to read. Once, she showed her appreciation for a book that had been in life, The Consolation of Philosophy. The Consolation of Philosophy by translating it into English in under 24 hours, making it more accessible for people who did not read Latin. In this way, she helped the writers of the time, and she read their books, and she also influenced the drama companies of the Elizabethan era. While there are many acting companies in 1550 and 1572, she banned all companies that weren't bound to a patron, a nobleman who is responsible for them. Thus, many theater companies broke up. However, most of the ones that did not find anyone to sponsor them were troublemakers, making it more of a professional business. Then, in 1758, Elizabeth licensed only 6 theater companies, trying to keep it under control. This made acting a competitive business. This may sound like it was a bad thing that made the actors work harder to get better, and it made the writers work to make their plays more popular to the general public. Thus, in this way, the reducing of the theater companies actually helped them expand and improve. And Elizabeth had a huge influence on it. She also helped foster Shakespeare's plays, and he was close with the royal court. He acted in 2 companies in front of the Queen, and the Queen was very encouraging towards him and his ventures. During her reign, Elizabeth was an inspiration for performers and writers. One of her notable influences is on Edmund Spenser's The Faerie Queene.
Elizabethan age was a great age of English literature. During this time, the writing of poetry was the part of education among the educated people. That is why many books of poetry by different writers appeared during this age. Edmund Spenser was born in 1552 and was died in 1599. He was the greatest non-dramatic poet of his age. He was matriculated as a Caesar at Pembroke College, Cambridge. After leaving Cambridge, he went to the north of England and wrote Shepherd's Calendar. This calendar was published in 1579. It is the best known of Spenser's poem. The theme is generally rural life, nature, love in the field, and etc. This poem was dedicated to Philip Sidney when they forged a friendship during their younger days. Sir Philip Sidney was born in 1554 and was died in 1586. He was educated at Oxford, and after his education was complete, he traveled throughout the continent and returning to England in 1575. Philip was a popular courtier during the reign of Elizabeth I. Unlike his father, he provided diplomatic advice to Elizabeth. Sidney is famous for his work Astraville and Stella. This work was published posthumously, which is 5 years after Sidney's death. This work is a collection of song and sonnet, which addressed to Lady Penelope, whom Sidney had once been bothered. Many writers of the Elizabethan age translated various books into English. John Lilly was born in 1554 and was died in 1606. Lilly was the most successful and fashionable of English writers. Lilly is famous for his work, Euphues, The Anatomy of Wit. This work is a didactic romance, and it was published in 1580. The name Euphues is derived from Greek meaning graceful of witty. Francis Bacon was born in 1561 and was died in 1626. He was famous with his work called The Advancement of Learning. This book was published in 1605.